So my name's Don Tipping. I'm an organic farmer and a plant breeder and an educator. Rock on, Earth, Mama Earth, Earth theme. So I normally teach in a more linear fashion. So what's inspiring me with this is the concept of the Earth story in a really simple way, because it's really simple. So we're going to guide you through kind of a visual journey and getting this sound thing sorted out. That will take you from the Big Bang to you and me, how we got here. And I am fortunate enough to be blessed by some friends who are willing to do an improvisational collaboration here, creating a sonic backdrop, if you will. So I have Elijah, Amelie, and Theo, and Nina may come swirling in here and bring a movement element. So, without further ado, we'll jump into it. So this is the history of our universe, from the Big Bang on. There's millions of galaxies throughout the universe, the multiverse. There are infinite realities, and we come from the same matter, the same atomic structure that's in all matter. As nature, matter can never be created or destroyed; it only changes form. What's in these spiral galaxies? It's just been spiraling around for 14 billion years, and before that it was probably spiraling around in some other form. And can you believe it? This is where we live. This is like our home scene. We're all homies here in the Pleiades, in this image. And this is what pumps out all life. 98% of the matter in our solar system is occupied in here. And sometimes we just have to look at it a little different to see it. Solar flares. Relative scale. Understanding big and little. On Mars, there's a volcano that's 81,000 feet tall. That's it. This is from ice that moves around on Io. That's one of the moons of Jupiter that we think life exists. There's another moon of Jupiter. Maybe we're not alone. I love that we share a solar system with something like that. That one just makes me smile. But in all of this, we begin to see these spiraling, swirling forms that replicate themselves in all these different permutations of matter, as creation basically as the most infinite palette we can imagine to create matter of every conceivable form. And yet somehow we're the right distance from the sun for an atmosphere to persist. And a moon that's just the right size for eclipses to exist, and the tides to pulse. And then as we come closer, we begin to see patterns emerge, fractals, fjords, Tibetan plateau. And we see these same forms emerge over and over, and when we give them names, sometimes it differentiates them from being the same thing. It's the same rhythm pulsing throughout all of creation. This is the Amazon basin. All of the freshwater rivers in the world don't add up to as much water as flowing through the Amazon. As below as above. The surface of the earth influences the way cloud patterns ripple over the earth. This is the Straits of Gibraltar between Africa and Europe. So humans are having an impact. Here's Chicago. I wonder who else is watching our live show.
You'll be over there for this.
Stand in one place for long enough.
You're on it. This is 8 on there. So you're on it.
Hurricanes. Is Iceland. Constant volcanic eruption, recirculating matter from the inside of the Earth to the outside of the Earth, enhancing fertility. And acceptance of the four-dimensional nature of the reality that we exist in now, that time is stretching out the way physical matter chooses to form. Limestone. More fractals. Do you know that lightning bolts start at the Earth and meet charged particles up in the sky? We see these things emerge all over in nature. And yet somehow, as humans, we don't do the right thing somehow. As Victor Wooten said, we got the right notes, but we played the wrong songs. But I think we're beginning to change that. Whoa. Gypsum crystals in Mexico. That's inside our Earth. These things exist where you can't see them. We have been in the middle of the largest extinction wave that's ever occurred on planet Earth, but it didn't start with humans. It started 3 million years ago when volcanoes erupted up and closed off oceanic current between the Atlantic and the Pacific. So it's not our fault that we're experiencing this biodiversity crash. It happened because oceanic mixing stopped. So that's part of the pattern of this planet, is the ebb and flow of biodiversity as it contracts and explodes outwards. And after humans, as far as the biggest impact on the planet, rats have had almost a similar enormous impact. So it's part of the rhythm of this planet. Leaks. Volcanic blast. A live oak tree in South Carolina. My mama lives there. And we're able to measure the pulse of time upon physical matter through observation of things like this. They tell the story of the Earth. Aboriginal people in Australia were able to track somebody that had gotten lost in the desert 50 years ago. And an anthropologist asked them, "How did you do that?" They looked at them in surprise and said, "We just listened for their footsteps." And they could still hear them because nobody told them that you can't. Infinite amount of details are revealed as we open up our observation possibility. And we have to empty out all the science knowing in order to make room for that. Hurricane Irene as it approaches the coast. As the polar ice across the north melts, we're going to begin to see hurricanes hitting the Pacific Northwest within our lifespan. Mount Shasta. Again. This is very common. There's a man that has a website just of Mount Shasta incredible cloud images. And the Earth pulses all this beauty day and night, whether somebody is there to appreciate it or not. It is the inherent nature of creation, is to form in this myriad of miracles, perpetually, every day, constantly, for billions of years. And again, we can give names to all these things, the fractaling patterns that are tessellation, or anodation, or von Karman spirals, or Ekman trails. We see this everywhere, and as we begin to describe it, but naming it just makes it not so sexy.
Give it sexy names, Don.
Pretty damn sexy.
A good friend of mine who's passed on wrote a song once. He said, Mother Gaia is the greatest lover that I've ever known. I agree. That's mud, not chocolate.
Yummy looking mud.
I once went to an amphitheater in an anthroposophical village in New York that was built in the shape of a hexagon. And the belief is that it helped humans to organize like the most organized form of living matter, honeybees, as well. And so as we emulate these forms, biomimicry, call it what you will, the more we can follow these patterns, the more it's going to open doors and make it a lot easier for us. Keyhole pattern in a peat bog. It's a good way to lay out your garden, minimizes paths. The Fibonacci sequence, that's incredible. For the math geeks out there, but that's all over the place. This is the kind of math I'd love the opportunity to teach to a group of 7, 8-year-olds someday. That's an oak tree on my farm. And it's everywhere. And it's actually, as much as the mathematicians want to tell you that it's exact, it isn't. Sometimes it deviates ever so slightly from that 1, 3, 5, 8, 13, 22 pattern that you can carry out. Burn. They have things like spores. They represent a linkage between fungi and vascular plants. Pine cones describe the Fibonacci sequence in a whole variety of ways. I helped do Christmas ornaments recently with pine cones, and we did glue across the spiral line with sparkle glitter as a way to demonstrate these things in the old show. Our lungs, when we breathe in, that's the way it functions. It's on that same mathematical 1, 3, 5, 8, 13, 22, 35. Spiders follow that. Things in the created world can't help but follow the drumbeat of creation. And when we do, we're out of balance. Only when we don't, we're out of balance. When we do, it's really easy. 300 million years ago, the tallest living organisms in North America were mushrooms that were 40 feet tall. They just found them recently falling over, and they thought they were petrified trees, and at that point, plants were only very short. This is a mathematical spiral somebody did. Wow. That's not real. So that is. That's another one that makes me smile. Yeah. Snails, their ooze they cruise on carries an electrical charge. And if they go over copper, here's a little gardening tip, they'll get a shock. So if you have slug problems, you can put old copper pipe on. The only Native American vegetable, sunflowers. Romanesco broccoli. The seed of which goes for $4,000 a pound. Wow. grow no cabbages. Again, math. Looking at torrential energy shapes for creating turbulence. That's a human-created torrential energy formula.
It's a great presentation.
For millions of years, ferns and other simple plants like cycads ruled all of the biota of the planet. Flowering plants have only been around for about 120 million years, as have birds and bird song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When water's spiraled into a vortex in biodynamic agriculture, it can actually hold many times the normal static water of elements in solution. So it's a way to potentize and amplify what we do. And this happens in rivers and streams and waterfalls every day. There's kiwi vines. That's strawflower and a native bee. In California, there's over 200 native bees. So as much as we want to shed tears for the honeybees having a hard time, there are so many other bees here that escape our notice, that do their work without ever being noticed. There's an intrinsic balance between starfish and sea urchin in our kelp forests. These are not my ideas. These are pictures from a book I got at a library that published in 1910. Somebody else was pretty genius. That's a cypress. Cypress, cedar, juniper. There are many words all for different species, but we call them that cedar in many languages. We all globally have a relationship to the holy evergreen. Don't let the nuclear scare stop you from eating seaweed. We should all be eating seaweed. Again, the Fibonacci sequence describes in the floral bracts of a pineapple. 1, 3, 5, 8, 13, 22, 35, 42. Orchids. It's the most diverse plant family on the earth is Orchidaceae. Mushrooms don't need to fruit ever in their whole life. They exist to help us bail bottoms, representing adaptation to desert climates, storing water in their trunk. Looking at the amplification of the small in the way curved drops and surface tension can bend light, giving us a new lens through which to perceive the creating world by looking at the small. Up close. Sand. Let's hear it for sand. Walking stick eggs. These are all mammals. This is our relatives. We're related to all these things. Really closely. Look at that. It's like our cousin. We go back and forth. We incarnate, excarnate, back and forth between that. That's natural building. Condors. Restoration. This is near here. Condors are badass. Snakes are sexy. Shasta, 200,000.
What is that?
We all revere nature everywhere.
It's a tree in Africa. Bulba.
When the leaves turn yellow, the elemental beings go back into the earth. February 1st, they come back out when the pussy willows. They rest inside the earth. Nobody arranged that. In India, they grow these ridges by training roots through hollow logs, and it takes them like 50 years. And they just get stronger and stronger and stronger. My neighbor is growing homes by planting trees in circles that will grow together eventually, and he believes the Druids grew their own homes that would improve in their strength multi-generations. Get up! Get up, acorns! Things to do with children. Macaw. We found that they traded live macaws back and forth between Central America and Chaco Kingdom. Imagine carrying a macaw with a big sharp beak and claws. That distance. But we've always valued those that fly. And those that swim. Hummingbirds migrate. The rufous-sided hummingbird comes up to Oregon for 2 weeks, the male, to have sex, and goes back. To Central America. Yeah. The small. When a pig is bigger than a frog breasting a pig. Our kin. These animals, they want to be in association with us if we can treat them well.
Double rainbow. Oh my god!
And there's been so much trauma and hurt to this beautiful Mother Earth that we sometimes give up hope when we don't see the way, just by praying in the future reality that we want to see, that the ancestors that have gone before us. This is Grandma Aggie, the chief elder and the 13 indigenous grandmothers, one of my neighbors. They want us to live in a good way. They remember how. And they see that through us becoming re-indigenous, it will happen. And we may do some strange things. And that might be good for us. So remember that spiraling, these Tibetan women, millions and millions of them on their moons constantly just pulsing out in the universe. And we can do that too, in our own creative ways. There's no one set way. To keep pulsing out that future vision of an earth in balance. Us as part of that earth, us as a key element of what might help restore a sense of balance. That is a pre-existing condition that we just have to surrender. This is brain cells in the universe. I kind of feel like that sometimes. And the remembering to just like humble ourselves down and sit with our bare ass on the earth, walk with our bare feet, swim naked, all that stuff will bring us to a good place. You know, and then we'll have something to share with these people. And imagine anything. You know, we need to create these visions of these future realities with things that we can't possibly conceive of. Technologies, possibly laws of physics being different. And it's, you know, I believe it's a concurrent reality that already exists. It's just a matter of being in that vibrational level. I mean, look, we've already done that. Like, we decided to build like that before we had power grids in Russia. Or like that in Turkey. It's woven into our DNA. Our DNA is of the same atomic structure. We share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees. We share 70% of it with a carrot. So we're already pulsing at that level. We have no ability to stray from it. Here's an angle of why. Imagine making a temple that the jungle wants to embrace in big love. What an atheist. And it can be simple and we should experiment. Even if something crazy, these hippie homes rot 40 years or something, it brings us closer into where we're resonating with all that stuff and making the art that has no function is a prayer to bring us back to where we're living like this.
That's what we're doing here. Really? Great.
Compost. Just take all that old stuff, that stuff you don't need. Compost it transforms matter through microbial and fungal process. And notice uniqueness. This is a 50-headed sunflower mutation. We're supposed to have one. Save seed from that. Or that. Notice beauty and uniqueness. It is like the glitch in the Matrix, but it's a positive glitch. It's drawing us into making more magic happen and amplifying that magic on every step of the way. If you can put a coating of magic on it, it erupts into incredible biodiversity. Eating that squash is a very different experience than eating processed canned squash. Eating a rainbow diet. Creative solutions. Creative solutions that maybe look kind of mundane. Rainwater catchment. Using recycled material. Recycling. I hope to see a whole heck of a lot more of these signs. Sign me up. Inside of us, that's a brain cell. You can't tell me all those other images are completely possible. Offspring. Wow. We have the possibility of replicating ourselves. We way trump technology. Yeah. So, thank you. Thank you so much for your attention. I appreciate everybody just like focusing in. My dear sister here, Violet, I have a loud voice. I'm able to like get all your attention. I would like you to give my sister your attention just for a moment here, if you will, to relate a project that's pretty much like how we do this. One of the ways of how we do this. Thank you.
You know, we can also
Yeah.